former Labor State Director Cameron Milner and former Liberal Senator Holly Hughes. Great to see you both. Cameron, I want to start with your piece in The Nightly this week, where you've criticised the coalition for having this public war over net zero, and you say it's an act of electoral self-harm that will not only let Albanese completely off the hook, but may well condemn the party to electoral irrelevance even beyond the next election. And actually, John Howard said to me last night that the party needs to resolve its differences on net zero and get to a position quickly.
Look, I agree, and I think John Howard's right in that regard, but he's not right in terms of saying they should abandon net zero by 2050. I mean, it was Scott Morrison's policy, it was Peter Dutton's policy, and even, goodness sake, the Tasmanian Liberal government wants net zero by 2030. That's their government policy. The Christofouli LNP government recommitted to net zero by 2050, even after their state conference sent a motion to the federal government. So no, it's tearing the Liberal Party apart. They're not winning any urban seats. The last election, they got 2 urban seats in the whole of Australia, 2 seats. They lost the rest of the Labor Party and to the Teals. And it's all on climate. And the reality, Sharri, is over half of the Australian voting cohort are under 40, and the Liberals are coming third on primaries in that group. And the number one issue for under 40s is climate change.
I mean, I disagree with you that climate was an issue at the last election. Just before I go to Holly, let's have a look at Howard's argument on net zero.
There's got to be a focus on policy differences, and the barnacles, as I used to call them, have got to be got rid of. I mean, if there's a difference of opinion on net zero, let us resolve it quickly.
And he then went on to say that he's not persuaded that the action on net zero is worth the price that the country is paying. Holly, what do you think here? Because there is this argument between, you know, the need to win back seats from the Teals, as Cameron just referenced, but then the other argument that John Howard put forward, that the party needs to have a point of difference, and he implied it should be coming out against net zero.
Yeah, and it was a great interview, by the way, last night with Mr. Howard. I really enjoyed watching that. And I've got to say, climate change, net zero being a barnacle, I feel like it's now almost become an anchor. It's been allowed to stay on the edge of that boat for so long. I got my energy bill this week. We nearly had a heart attack, and this is going to be happening in more and more households. This race to renewables is costing everyday Australians so much money. I feel like net zero is almost becoming the red herring in this debate. This Albanese government is not going to make the 43% reduction target by 2030. And if things don't pick up considerably, they're still going to be the government when that comes around, unfortunately. And so there'll be very clear evidence that their plan isn't working, and they're about to announce a 2035 target, which could be considerably higher, and they're never going to reach that. So I think that the coalition, if they're serious, forget about a net zero as a terminology, because most people, when you get down to it, don't even understand. Our emissions haven't changed because coal-fired power doesn't go on and off when renewables don't work. The reason our emissions aren't changing is coal has to keep burning. That's just the reality of how the energy market works. But if Australians understand half of their bill is distribution, half of the bill is coming from the absolute race to renewables and cost that is being put onto them and their households and their businesses by this ridiculous government's race to renewables while the rest of the world's walking away from it. I just think if you get bogged down in one term and one term only of net zero, it's not going to go anywhere. Australians cannot afford this, and that needs to be the conversation.
I mean, the coalition does need to arrive at a policy,
but
though.
They can have a policy position, but it doesn't have to be yes or no to net zero. It can be, we want to see a renewable reduction or renewables rolled out in a way that makes them viable, in a way that makes them affordable. We want to see it. No one is talking about nuclear, whereas every other advanced in the economy in the world is relying on nuclear for power. Just lift the moratorium, people, and let the market decide.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more. Let's turn to Greta Thunberg's latest PR stunt, and it's more headlines already. Now, they claim that one of their boats was struck by a drone. Yet we have had a statement from Tunisia's National Guard denying the claims. They say that no drones have been detected. So, Cameron, what's going on here? You'd think the Tunisian National Guard would know if there was a drone.
You would, wouldn't you? And look, this is just another Greta stunt, and I think you're right. It's a PR stunt. I mean, Greta was a little irritant when she sort of death stared Trump that many years ago and has sort of dropped off our radar, and now has come back as a cause celeb. I mean, it's got nothing to do with Gazans. It's got nothing to do with humanity. It's got everything to do with Greta and getting Greta headlines. And this is what's regrettable, in terms of how she's handled herself.
I mean, you just wonder if you can't believe anything she's saying on this issue, because what she is saying is so preposterous. We've got a clip if we want to play it. Can we play what Greta's saying on this?
The little spark, the little flash.
Let's have a look. Okay, we'll come back to it in a second.
But honestly, it looked like someone, set a zippy lighter off, and opened up. Maybe they were having a fag out on the deck. I don't know. It certainly didn't look like an explosion. And how many CFCs were used in that fire extinguisher that they went and raced for? I mean, that might have caused one of the storms that's going to block their
We've
flotilla.
got the clip now. Let's have a look.
There's a fire on the front deck. We've been hit. Where's the fire extinguisher?
They could have been caused by anything. Now let's return to my comments at the start of the show tonight when I played some of Albanese's TikToks that he did with a pair of girls. They call themselves party girl podcasters. Now, he filmed this on the day that he was asked to condemn Daniel Andrews for his China stunt. It was also in the same parliamentary week where he didn't find the time to meet with Ellie Sharabi. I mean, Cameron, why is the Prime Minister recording silly videos like this?
Oh, because the TikTok PM clocked off after he got 94 seats, Sharri. This bloke thinks it's all kicks and giggles, government. He's actually never done a hard day's work in his life. I mean, he's been a pretty part-time PM in the first term, and now he thinks he can just get away with doing TikTok on the way to work. Well, sorry, it's a real job being the Prime Minister of Australia.
Holly, in the video, he's he's acting out a scene from Legally Blonde.
Yeah, he's ruined that movie for me. And aside from the fact I don't like him anyway, the fact that he has ruined a really great film has upset me no end. I mean, please, can he leave those sorts of things alone? If he touches Mean Girls, we're going to have a serious problem. But this is embarrassing, and I hope, who is letting him do this? I'm sure Cameron, as Chief of Staff, wouldn't have said, you know what, Bill, I think this is a crackingly good idea. Get out there and make yourself look like a moron on a Chinese video platform. I mean, this is insane. And this is a serious job for serious people. And I know I could sit here with you and joke about things, but when I was in the Senate and when I was doing inquiries and particularly preparing for Senate estimates, it is a very serious job, whether you are in government or opposition, whether you are trying to govern the country or holding the government to account. And the fact that he thinks hanging out with two dolly birds making fun videos is just, it's demeaning to the whole Australian population, undermines the role of Prime Minister, and shows quite simply why he is not up to this job.
No, he's not. I mean, Cameron, you just said before that he's lazy. You obviously know him well. I mean, you're Bill Shorten's Chief of Staff. So is that really true? Is he just not a hard worker?
I think he's got disdain for the role. I mean, he actually, says he doesn't really want to be PM, never really wanted the role. Well, I'm sorry. I saw down 2 leadership challenges where he tried to take Bill out in 2016, so he wanted the job then. But no, I mean, this is a guy who doesn't actually do the hard work, doesn't get across the policy brief, isn't across the detail, and is actually not a good PM.
Yeah, I'd agree he's not a good PM, and I have heard about people who go and have meetings with him, interest groups or lobby groups or the like, and he can't engage in a conversation about the topic. He'll say you need to go and speak to the relevant minister because he's just not at all across the detail. But happy to do conversation, giving relationship advice with podcasters. That's easy
very,
to do.
Very important.
Dropping
let's
terms
speak
like
to Abby
Delulu.
Chatfield, shall we?
I know, exactly.
Doyen of intelligence.
Yes, indeed. All right. Holly Hughes, Cameron Milner, thank you so much.